The days following the fall of the Galactic Council were filled with a mix of joy, chaos, and uncertainty. Across the galaxy, liberated worlds celebrated their newfound freedom. But with that freedom came the enormous task of building a new galactic society. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the center of it all. As one of the key figures in the rebellion, she found herself thrust into a leadership role she had never expected. "I'm a soldier, not a politician," she grumbled to Dr. Rodriguez as they walked through the halls of what was once the Council's headquarters. Amelia smiled. Maybe that's exactly what the galaxy needs right now. Someone who fights for what's right, not for power. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Jake, his face alight with excitement. "You won't believe this," he said, slightly out of breath. "The Arcturians have proposed a galactic alliance, not ruled by one group, but a true partnership of all species." Sarah's eyes widened. That's incredible. But how would it work?" As if in answer to her question, a holographic message appeared before them. It was Admiral Lear Anna of the Luminary. "Captain Chin," the Admiral's melodious voice filled the room. "Your presence is requested at the First Galactic Concord. We are gathering representatives from all worlds to shape our future together." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. The grand chamber that once housed the Galactic Council now buzzed with the voices of 100 different species. Sarah, representing Earth, found herself working alongside beings she could never have imagined before. But amidst the political discussions and debates, Sarah never lost sight of what had started it all. In a quiet moment, she sought out Zira, who had become a symbol of hope for the galaxy. She found the young luminary in a garden that had been set up for the many rescued children. Zira was helping a small tentacled being learn to control its psychic abilities. "How are you doing, Zira?" Sarah asked, kneeling beside her. Zira's glow pulsed warmly. "I'm good, Captain. I'm helping the other kids. Some of them are scared, but I tell them it's okay now. We're safe." Sarah felt a lump in her throat. "You're very brave. You know that." Zira's glow brightened. "I learned it from you." As the days passed, the shape of the new Galactic Alliance began to emerge. It would be led by a council with representatives from all member worlds. Decisions would be made through consensus, not dictation. And at the heart of its charter was a solemn vow to protect the rights of all beings, especially children. On the day the charter was to be signed, Sarah found herself standing before the assembled representatives. As she looked out at the sea of faces, human, luminary, Arcturian, and 100 others, she felt the weight of the moment. "We stand here today," she began, her voice carrying across the silent chamber, "not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as equals. We have overthrown tyranny not to replace it with our own, but to ensure that no one, no child, no world will ever suffer under such cruelty again." She paused, her eyes finding Zira in the crowd. "We owe this moment to many, but especially to the bravery of one child who dared to speak the truth. Let us honor that bravery by building a galaxy worthy of our children's dreams." As applause filled the chamber, Sarah saw tears in many eyes, not just human ones. She realized that in this moment, species didn't matter. They were all simply people, united in hope for a better future. The signing of the charter marked the birth of a new era. But for Sarah, the most powerful moment came after the ceremony. As the crowds dispersed, she felt a small hand slip into hers. She looked down to see Zira, glowing softly. "What happens now?" the young luminary asked. Sarah smiled, squeezing the small hand gently. "Now, Zira, we build. We heal. We explore. Together." As they stood there, a human and a luminary, Sarah realized that this was the true victory. Not the defeat of an enemy, but the forging of bonds across the stars. The galaxy faced many challenges ahead, but as long as they faced them united, there was hope. And it had all started with the courage of one child, and the fury of humanity unleashed in the name of justice. The UES horizon hummed with tension As Captain Sarah Chen strode onto the bridge, the alien child cradled in her arms. The crew's eyes widened at the sight of the small, trembling creature. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed," Sarah ordered, her voice sharp with urgency, "and get me a direct line to the United Earth Council. Now." As the ship surged away from the Galactic Council vessel, Sarah turned her attention to the alien child. Its large, frightened eyes darted around the bridge, taking in the unfamiliar surroundings. Dr. Emilia Rodriguez, the ship's chief medical officer, approached cautiously. "Captain, let me examine the child," she said softly. Sarah nodded, gently transferring the small being to Emilia's care. As the doctor led the child to the medical bay, Sarah faced the main view screen, where the stern faces of the United Earth Council appeared. "Captain Chen, explain yourself," demanded Counselor Zhang, his brow furrowed with concern. "You've potentially sparked an interstellar incident." Sarah took a deep breath. "Counselors, I discovered something disturbing aboard the Galactic Council ship. They're hiding a dark secret, and it involves the exploitation of children from other species." A shocked murmur rippled through the council members. Sarah continued, detailing her discovery and daring escape. As she spoke, the counselors' expressions shifted from disbelief to horror, and finally to determination. "This is grave news, Captain," Counselor Amati said. "Return to Earth immediately. We need to address this situation with utmost caution and gather more information." As the transmission ended, Sarah hurried to the medical bay. There, she found Dr. Rodriguez gently tending to the alien child. The doctor's face was grim. "Captain, the child's condition is worse than we thought," Emilia said quietly. "There are signs of long-term neglect and experimentation." Sarah's fists clenched at her sides. "Can you help?" Emilia nodded. "I'm doing what I can, but there's so much we don't know about their physiology." Just then, the child stirred. Its eyes focused on Sarah, and to everyone's surprise, it spoke. The words were unintelligible, but the ship's AI quickly translated. "Thank you for saving me," the child whispered. "My name is Zira. I'm a luminary." Sarah knelt beside the medical bed. "You're safe now, Zira. Can you tell us what happened to you?" Tears welled up in Zira's luminous eyes. "The Council, they take children from worlds that aren't part of their alliance. They use us for experiments, trying to unlock the secrets of our species." As Zira spoke, the full horror of the situation unfolded. The Galactic Council, presenting itself as a benevolent authority, was secretly conducting cruel experiments on children from vulnerable civilizations. The Luminary, with their natural ability to manipulate light and energy, were particularly prized subjects. "My people, they don't know," Zira continued, her voice breaking. "The Council told them we were being given a special education, but it's all lies." Sarah's heart ached for the child and for all the others still trapped. She gently took Zira's hand. "We'll make this right, Zira. I promise." As the horizon approached Earth, Sarah knew that humanity stood at a crossroads. The truth they had uncovered would shake the foundations of galactic politics. The decision they made now would define humanity's place in the cosmos. In her quarters, Sarah recorded a message. It was risky, but she knew it was necessary. She was reaching out to every independent world and species in the galaxy, exposing the Council's crimes and calling for action. As she finished the recording, Sarah looked out at the stars. The galaxy had just become a much darker place, but in that darkness, humanity's determination burned brighter than ever. They would not stand idly by while innocents suffered. The battle for justice was about to begin, and humanity was ready to lead the charge. The United Earth Council chamber buzzed with tension. Captain Sarah Chen stood before the assembly, her posture rigid, her eyes blazing with determination. Beside her, looking small and fragile, stood Zira, the rescued luminary child. "We cannot ignore this," Sarah said, her voice ringing through the hall. The Galactic Council's crimes against children like Zira demand action. Counselor John leaned forward, his face grave. We agree, Captain, but we must proceed carefully. We're dealing with a power that spans the galaxy, which is why we need to gather more evidence. Counselor Amadi added, we need irrefutable proof to present to other civilizations. Sarah nodded. I have a plan, but I'll need resources and a team I can trust. Within hours, Operation Starlight was born. Sarah handpicked a team of Earth's finest, scientists, diplomats, and covert operatives. Their mission, to investigate the Galactic Council's activities and gather evidence of their crimes. Dr. Emilia Rodriguez joined as the team's xenobiologist, her expertise crucial in understanding the effects of the Council's experiments. Jake Thornton, Earth's top linguist and cultural expert, came aboard to help navigate the complex web of galactic diplomacy. The team's base of operations was the newly refitted UES Shadow, a stealth ship designed for covert missions. As they prepared to depart, Sarah knelt before Zira. We're going to help your people and all the others, she said softly. Can you be brave a little longer? Zira's luminous eyes shimmered with tears, but she nodded bravely. The shadow slipped away from Earth under the cover of darkness, its destination, the fringes of Galactic Council space. Their first stop was Lysaria, a neutral trading hub known for its diverse population and loose regulations. In Lysaria's bustling spaceport, the team split up. Jake mingled with the locals, his linguistic skills allowing him to pick up rumors and whispers. Dr. Rodriguez sought out underground medical facilities, looking for traces of the Council's victims. Sarah and her security team, disguised as mercenaries, made contact with a mysterious informant. In a dimly lit back room of a seedy bar, they met Caxlor, a former Council security officer turned whistleblower. The things I've seen, Caxlor whispered, his multiple eyes darting nervously. The Council's reach is vast. They have secret facilities on remote planets, hidden labs on abandoned space stations. As Caxlor spoke, he transferred data to Sarah's secure device. Star charts, security codes, names of key Council operatives involved in the child exploitation program. Suddenly, alarms blared through the spaceport. Attention all beings, a booming voice announced. By order of the Galactic Council, this port is now under lockdown. All ships are grounded until further notice. Sarah's comm unit crackled to life. Captain, Jake's voice came through, urgent and low. Council enforcers are everywhere. They're searching for something, or someone. Rendezvous at Point Beta, Sarah ordered. We're getting out of here. As they raced through the crowded streets, dodging Council patrols, Sarah's mind whirled. The Council was moving faster than anticipated. Their investigation had stirred up a hornet's nest. Back on the Shadow, the team regrouped. As they broke through the planet's atmosphere, evading Council ships, they reviewed their findings. It's worse than we thought, Dr. Rodriguez said, her face pale as she examined the data. The scale of their operations, the number of children involved, it's staggering. Sarah's jaw clenched. We need to get this information out. To Earth, to every independent world, to anyone who will listen. As the Shadow raced through hyperspace, Sarah recorded a new message. This time, it wasn't just a call for help. It was a rallying cry, a demand for justice that would echo across the stars. The battle against the Galactic Council was truly beginning, and humanity, led by the determined Captain Sarah Chen, was ready to fight not just for themselves, but for every innocent child caught in the Council's cruel web. As she finished the recording, Sarah looked at her team, at Zira, and at the star-filled view screen. We're not just fighting a corrupt council, she said softly. We're fighting for the soul of the galaxy. Zira's broadcast echoed across the galaxy, her young voice carrying the weight of truth. As her message ended, a moment of stunned silence fell over countless worlds. Then, like a storm breaking, the galaxy erupted. On planet after planet, system after system, Beings of all species took to the streets, some in protest, some in disbelief, but all demanding answers from the Galactic Council. Aboard the UES Shadow, Captain Sarah Chen and her team watched the unfolding chaos with a mixture of hope and apprehension. "It's working," Jake said, his eyes glued to the screens showing feeds from various worlds. "The people are waking up." But their celebration was short-lived. Aria's urgent voice cut through the excitement. "Captain, multiple Council warships detected on approach vector." Sarah's face hardened. "This is it, people. The Council's coming for us with everything they've got." As the Shadow prepared for battle, a new transmission came through. It was Admiral Lear Anna of the Luminary. "Captain Chen," the Admiral's voice was tight with urgency, "we've received word from our spies. The Council is planning to activate a super weapon capable of suppressing the will of entire populations. They mean to quell this rebellion before it spreads further." Sarah's mind raced. They couldn't let the Council use such a weapon. "We need to strike now," she decided. "Hit them before they can activate it." What followed was a flurry of activity as Sarah coordinated with not just the Luminary, but also the growing number of allies they'd made. The Arcturians, moved by Zira's bravery, pledged their crystalline fleet. Other races, long oppressed by the Council, offered their support. As the combined fleet assembled, Sarah found a quiet moment with Zira. The young luminary's glow had dimmed slightly, the strain of recent events taking its toll. "You've been so brave," Sarah said softly, kneeling beside her. "But what comes next? It's going to be dangerous. Are you sure you want to stay?" Zira's eyes met Sarah's, a determination beyond her years shining in them. "I started this. I want to see it through." Sarah nodded, a lump in her throat. "Then let's finish this. Together." The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. The rebel fleet, a patchwork of ships from dozens of species, faced off against the sleek, uniform armada of the Galactic Council. The space around the Council's capital world became a chaos of energy beams, missile trails, and exploding ships. The Shadow darted through the melee, Sarah's expert piloting keeping them one step ahead of destruction. "We need to get to that superweapon," Sarah shouted over the din of battle. "Dr. Rodriguez, Jake, you're with me. We're going in." Using the chaos of the space battle as cover, the Shadow slipped through the Council's defenses. They landed in a massive hangar, alarms blaring all around them. As Sarah and her team fought their way through the Council's headquarters, they encountered desperate resistance. But they were not alone. Allies from a dozen worlds fought alongside them, each driven by the need for justice. Finally, they reached the central chamber where the superweapon was housed. High Counselor Vexterra stood before a massive control panel, his scales glinting in the eerie light of the weapon's core. "You're too late, humans," he snarled. "One press of this button, and the galaxy will fall back in line." But before he could act, a small figure darted past Sarah. Zira, glowing brighter than ever, faced the High Counselor. "No more," she said, her voice echoing with power. "No more lies. No more stolen children. No more." As Zira spoke, her glow intensified, spreading throughout the chamber. The control panel sparked and fizzled, overloaded by the pure energy of luminary truth. Vexterra stumbled back, shielding his eyes. What are you doing?" Sarah stepped forward, her weapon trained on the High Counselor. "It's over, Vexterra. Your weapon is neutralized, your fleet is in retreat, and the truth is out. The galaxy is free." As if to punctuate her words, the chamber shook with a distant explosion. Through the viewport, Sarah could see Council ships either surrendering or fleeing. The long night of the Galactic Council's rule was ending. A new dawn was breaking for the galaxy. But as Sarah looked at her team, at their allies, and at young Zira, she knew that the real work was just beginning. The galaxy would need to heal, to rebuild. But for the first time in millennia, it would do so in freedom and truth. The vast emptiness of space suddenly lit up with a brilliant flash. A massive ship, bearing the insignia of the Galactic Council, emerged from hyperspace near Earth's orbit. Its sleek, silvery hull reflected the distant sun's rays, creating a spectacle that caught the attention of every space observatory on the planet. Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, the UES Horizon. Her eyes narrowed as she studied the alien vessel on the main view screen. "First contact," she whispered, her voice a mix of excitement and apprehension. The ship's AI, Araya, chimed in. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the alien vessel." Sarah straightened her uniform. "Put it through, Araya." A holographic image flickered to life in the center of the bridge. It showed a tall, slender being with iridescent skin and large, almond-shaped eyes. The alien spoke, its words translated in real time by Araya. "Greetings, people of Earth. I am Ambassador Zixel of the Galactic Council. We come in peace and wish to welcome humanity into the greater galactic community." Sarah stepped forward, her voice steady. "Welcome, Ambassador. I'm Captain Sarah Chen, representing the United Earth Defense Force. We're honored by your visit." As they exchanged pleasantries, Sarah couldn't shake off a feeling of unease. Something about the ambassador's demeanor seemed off. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. News of the alien arrival spread across Earth, causing a mix of excitement, fear, and curiosity. World leaders gathered for emergency meetings, while scientists eagerly prepared for the exchange of knowledge. A week after the initial contact, Sarah found herself aboard the Galactic Council ship as part of a human delegation. As they toured the massive vessel, she noticed something strange. In a dimly lit corridor, she caught a glimpse of a small figure darting between shadows. "What was that?" she asked, breaking away from the group. Ambassador Zixal's face twitched slightly. "Nothing of importance, Captain. Please, let us continue the tour." But Sarah's instincts told her otherwise. Later, when she had a moment alone, she slipped away from the delegation. Following her hunch, she made her way back to the mysterious corridor. There, huddled in a corner, she found a child. But not a human child. This was clearly an alien, but of a species different from the council members. The child's large, luminous eyes were filled with fear and pain. Sarah approached slowly, her heart racing. "Hello," she said softly. "Are you okay?" The child flinched, then looked up at her with a mix of hope and desperation. It reached out a trembling hand, revealing angry red marks on its wrist. Sarah's blood ran cold. These weren't just marks. They were restraints. Suddenly, the pieces started falling into place. The Council's eagerness to contact Earth, their insistence on quick treaties, their reluctance to discuss certain topics. Before she could react, alarms blared through the ship. "Intruder alert! Intruder alert!" Sarah knew she had to act fast. In a split-second decision, she scooped up the alien child and ran. Her military training kicked in as she navigated the labyrinthine corridors, dodging security forces. She managed to reach the docking bay where the human shuttle was kept. As she burst in, she shouted to her startled crew, "We're leaving now." The shuttle took off amidst a hail of energy blasts from Council security. As they sped back towards the UES Horizon, Sarah cradled the trembling alien child. She looked down at the frightened being in her arms, then up at the looming form of the Council ship. In that moment, she knew that everything had changed. Humanity's entry into the galactic community wouldn't be the celebration they had imagined. Instead, they had stumbled upon a dark secret, and Sarah knew with grim certainty that humanity wouldn't stand idly by. The fury ignited by this child's suffering would shake the very foundations of the Galactic Council. As the shuttle docked with the Horizon, Sarah's mind raced. The real challenge was just beginning. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with angry voices. At the center, a hologram of Captain Sarah Chen's face floated, her message of defiance echoing through the vast hall. High Counselor Vexterra, a tall being with shimmering scales, slammed a clawed hand on the table. How dare these humans challenge us? We've ruled the galaxy for millennia. They have evidence, Vexterra, hissed Counselor Zin, his tentacles writhing nervously. The child, the luminary, they know about our special projects. Vexterra's eyes narrowed. Then we must act swiftly. Crush this human rebellion before it spreads. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council's massive machinery of power creaked into motion. Their first move was a galaxy-wide broadcast, denouncing Earth as a rogue planet spreading lies and chaos. On the UES Shadow, Sarah and her team watched the broadcast with grim faces. They're trying to turn the galaxy against us, Jake said, his linguist's ear catching the subtle manipulations in the Council's words. Sarah nodded. But we have the truth on our side. Zira, are you ready? The young luminary child stepped forward, her small form glowing with inner light. I'm scared, she whispered, but I want to help. With gentle encouragement from Sarah and Dr. Rodriguez, Zira recorded her own message. Her young voice trembled at first, but grew stronger as she spoke of her ordeal and the plight of other children. As Zira's message spread across independent communication channels, the Council's carefully constructed narrative began to crumble. But the Council wasn't done. They launched economic sanctions against Earth and its allies, attempting to starve the rebellion of resources. Trade routes were blocked, and human ships were denied entry at Council-controlled ports. On Earth, the effects were quickly felt. Prices of off-world goods skyrocketed, and some colonies on distant planets reported shortages of crucial supplies. In an emergency meeting of the United Earth Council, tensions ran high. We can't sustain this, Counselor Jung argued. The economic pressure is too great. Perhaps we should consider negotiations. But Sarah, attending via hologram from the shadow, stood firm. Counselors, this is exactly what the Galactic Council wants. They're hoping we'll break under pressure. But every day we resist, more worlds are hearing the truth. As if to prove her point, the Chamber's communication system chimed. A message was coming in from the Arcturian Empire, a powerful civilization that had long stood neutral in galactic affairs. The face of Empress Cthulhu appeared on screen, her crystalline features set in a solemn expression. People of Earth, she began, we have heard your call for justice. The evidence you've presented is disturbing. The Arcturian Empire cannot stand idle in the face of such atrocities. A ripple of hope spread through the chamber. With the support of the Arcturians, the balance of power was shifting. But the Galactic Council had one more card to play. As Sarah and her team investigated a lead on a remote planet, they found themselves ambushed by a Council strike force. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air as Sarah and her team took cover behind rocky outcroppings. They knew we were coming. Sarah shouted over the din of battle. We have a leak. As the firefight intensified, Sarah made a split-second decision. Jake, Dr. Rodriguez, get the evidence back to the ship. I'll hold them off. But Captain, Jake began to protest. That's an order. Sarah's voice left no room for argument. As her teammates retreated, Sarah stood her ground, her weapon blazing against the advancing Council forces. She knew the odds were against her, but the faces of Zira and countless other innocent children flashed through her mind, steeling her resolve. In that moment, on a dusty battlefield on a forgotten planet, Captain Sarah Chen became more than just a soldier. She became a symbol of humanity's determination to fight for what's right, no matter the cost. As the Council forces closed in, Sarah's comm unit crackled to life. Captain, hold on. It was Jake's voice, filled with excitement. Reinforcements are coming. You won't believe who it is. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. The battle was far from over, and the galaxy was about to witness the true strength of human resolve. The air crackled with energy as Captain Sarah Chen crouched behind a large rock, her weapon hot in her hands. The Council forces were closing in, their superior numbers threatening to overwhelm her. Just as hope seemed lost, The sky lit up with a brilliant flash. "What the?" Sarah gasped, shielding her eyes. A massive ship, unlike anything she'd ever seen, descended from the clouds. Its hull shimmered with an otherworldly light, and strange symbols glowed along its sides. As it hovered above the battlefield, smaller craft poured out of its hangars, engaging the Council forces with advanced weaponry. "Captain Chen," a melodious voice rang in Sarah's comm unit. "I am Admiral Lear Anna of the Luminary Liberation Front. We received your distress call." Sarah's heart leaped. The Luminary, Zira's people, had come to their aid. With the Luminary's help, the tide of battle quickly turned. The Council forces, caught off guard by the new arrivals, retreated in disarray. As the dust settled, Sarah found herself face to face with Admiral Lear Anna, a tall, luminous being whose very presence seemed to radiate hope. "Thank you for saving us," Sarah said, extending her hand in a human gesture of greeting. Lear Anna's eyes, glowing with an inner light, studied Sarah intently. "No, Captain Chen. It is we who must thank you. Your bravery in rescuing young Zira and exposing the Council's crimes has awakened our people." Back on the UES Shadow, Sarah and her team gathered with the Luminary leaders. The ship's conference room buzzed with excitement and nervous energy. "The Council has kept us in the dark for too long," Lear Anna explained, her voice tinged with anger and determination. "Many of our children, sent away for special education, never returned. Now we know why." Dr. Rodriguez, who had been examining the Luminary's advanced medical technology, spoke up. "With your help, we might be able to heal the children who have suffered under the Council's experiments." Jake, meanwhile, was deep in conversation with a Luminary linguist, his eyes wide with excitement. "Their language is incredible," he muttered. "It's not just words, it's pure energy." As the two groups shared knowledge and resources, a plan began to take shape. The Luminary's advanced technology, combined with human ingenuity and the growing support from other alien races, could tip the scales against the Galactic Council. But their newfound alliance faced its first test sooner than expected. Alarms blared throughout the shadow as Araya, the ship's AI, detected an incoming transmission. "It's broadcasting on all frequencies," Araya reported. "Origin, Galactic Council Headquarters." The main screen flickered to life, revealing the stern face of High Counselor Vexterra. His scales seemed to shimmer with barely contained rage. "People of the galaxy," he began, his voice dripping with false concern. "We have discovered a plot by the humans and their Luminary allies to destabilize our peaceful union. They spread lies about our benevolent leadership, endangering the very fabric of our society." Sarah clenched her fists, anger rising in her chest. But before she could respond, Zira stepped forward, her small form glowing with determination. "I want to speak," the young Luminary said, her voice stronger than Sarah had ever heard it. "I want to tell everyone the truth." For a moment, the room fell silent. Then, slowly, Sarah nodded. "Araya, can you hijack the Council's broadcast?" "Affirmative, Captain," the AI responded. "But it will only last for a few minutes before they cut us off." Sarah knelt beside Zira, looking the child in the eyes. "Are you sure about this? Once we do this, there's no going back." Zira's glow intensified. "I'm sure. For all the children who can't speak for themselves." With a nod to Araya, the broadcast shifted. Across the galaxy, on countless worlds and space stations, viewers watched in shock as the face of a small, glowing child replaced that of the High Counselor. "My name is Zira," she began, her voice clear and unwavering. "And this is the truth about the Galactic Council." As Zira spoke, telling her story and revealing the Council's crimes, Sarah watched the faces of her team, of the Luminary, and of little Zira herself. In that moment, she knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they had just changed the course of galactic history. The tide was turning, and the real battle for the future of the galaxy was about to begin.